Right. So, you know, everyone's still buzzing about the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
But we're looking at what happened after all the excitement died down a bit.
Right.
Specifically, when Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, well, they were seen out together for the first time after the game.
Yeah.
We're working off of one article here, just one, and it's called Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift post Super Bowl appearance.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, I mean, why is this even news? That's kind of what we're going to dig into.
Right. It's like, I think the interesting part isn't just that they were seen together. I
Right.
mean, after all that, we all kind of expected it, right? It's more like, what does it mean? Like right
Yeah.
after the Super Bowl, boom, there they are.
Yeah.
And the Super Bowl is it's a huge deal culturally.
Oh, yeah.
And they were both like right in the middle of it. So
Yeah.
everything is amplified. So this article is like catching the very next moment, like, okay, the game's over. The craziness is settling down.
Yeah.
What does it look like for them as a couple now?
It is kind of like, we all want to see what happens after the party, even if it's just grabbing a bite to eat.
Exactly.
And you look at the headline, right? It's like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift step out together for first time since Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It's like, it tells you the whole story, but doesn't tell you anything,
Right.
It's all about the Super Bowl being this, like, dividing line. Like, there's before and there's after, and being seen together now after the Super Bowl means something different. What do you think that is?
Well, that whole since Super Bowl thing, that's the key, right? It's
Yeah.
like you take something totally normal, two people going out, and suddenly it's this big event because it connects back to this huge story that everyone was glued to.
Right.
And it's like it's almost promising that the story is going to keep going.
Right.
It really makes you think about
Yeah.
how much of this is them managing how they're seen, after something like the Super Bowl. How does that play into the whole image thing?
That's a great point because, during the Super Bowl, people were watching their every move.
Oh, yeah.
Every little glance, every time they cheered, it was all analyzed. So,
Yeah.
this first time they're seen together afterward, it does kind of feel like, okay, it's confirmation, right?
Yeah.
Like the media, everyone's kind of saying, okay, the Super Bowl happened, the celebrations were wild, but are they still a thing? And this outing, it answers that question without them having to say a word.
Exactly.
So what did the article actually say about what they were doing? What did they actually describe about this appearance?
Well, it's funny because the article is so focused on the fact that it was their first time out together since the Super Bowl
Right.
that it doesn't really go into a lot of detail about what they actually did. It's like the who and the when are the big deal more than the what.
Yeah.
Like just seeing them together is the whole story. It's like we just need that confirmation.
Right.
It just goes to show how much we want to see the story continue after the main event,
Yeah. So it's almost like the article's just a placeholder. It's like saying, hey, for everyone keeping track, here's the latest. They were seen together.
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps that whole narrative that started way before the Super Bowl and really blew up during the game. It keeps it going. It's less about what they did on their quote-unquote date and more about the fact that, they're still a couple after the big win.
Exactly. And if you look at it in the bigger picture of, celebrity culture, these kinds of appearances, they're all part of the story. There's this constant demand for updates. And it's like, even though it's a public moment, it feels kind of personal, like we're getting a glimpse into their lives.
Yeah.
And you think about it, so many celebrity relationships, it's like they're defined by these little snapshots, these moments in time.
I guess for people who are following them, it's like a sigh of relief, right? Like the Super Bowl was this huge peak, and now things are calming down. And they're still together. It's like the next chapter that everyone was waiting for, even if it's a short one.
It is. It really is. And it makes you think, like, why are we so fascinated by these little moments in celebrities' lives?
Right.
Especially after such a public, achievement. What is it about this kind of news that grabs us so much?
That's a great question. And it's amazing how this one short article, just by existing, it really highlights that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that this post-Super Bowl appearance is news. It just shows how obsessed we are with celebrity couples, especially when their lives kind of get mixed up with these huge cultural events. Makes you think about, like, what are we projecting onto these relationships,
It really does. It really does. And it shows how powerful images are these days,
Yeah.
with the media and everything. Like, even though this article doesn't really describe what they were doing, just seeing those pictures, it's proof, right? It confirms the story, Like, they're still together. It has a different impact than just reading about it. It's like we have to see it to believe it or to feel like we're really in the loop.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up this whole
Yeah.
deep dive. This article, it looks simple, but it's more than just a report about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift being seen together. It's about that first appearance after the Super Bowl, which, let's face it, is a big deal for anyone following their story.
Yeah.
It's confirmation that there's still a couple, after all that attention.
Absolutely. It's all about the timing.
Yeah.
Like catching that moment right after the game when everyone's still curious about them. It's interesting how even something ordinary, like two people going out, can become a big news story when it's these high-profile people, especially after a huge cultural moment like the Super Bowl.
So for everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
some to think about. Why are we so interested in celebrity couples, especially in those moments right after big events? What is it about these glimpses into their lives that we find so captivating?
Yeah.
Why does it spark so much conversation?
Definitely something to ponder, right?
It is. It really is.
All right, that's it for our look at this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce post Super Bowl thing.
Yeah. And join us next time for another deep dive into whatever's got everyone talking, I guess.
Sounds good.
See ya.
Sure.